Welcome to On the Edge with JP Devine from Central Maine Sunday. On the Edge with JP Devine audio is made possible by our subscribers like you. Thank you for listening and supporting local journalism in Central Maine. Now here's JP Devine.
Freedom's Song. There she is, perched on my fingers as I hold her up to the morning sun. Yellow she is, from her coxcomb to her long tail, with poppy orange cheeks. The painter, Paul Gauguin, would have loved her. Her name is Miss Kramer, and she's about 20 years old, and that's a guess. Where once she owned the house, she no longer flies, so she lives now in a beautiful cage for protection, much as we do. She hates the cage. I hate it too, but we both accept it. She's elderly, loved, and safe. Cage is a hard, frightening word. Can there be any two words in the English language, or any language, more incongruous than bird and cage? Did the Great Spirit you believe in create birds to be caged? Trees, fences, gentle fingers, and pillows of wind, but never cages. I remembered this morning, a New Year's Eve long ago, when my date and I left the ballroom of the Plaza Hotel. We were met with the sight of a poor old homeless woman begging nearby. She stood there in freezing cold, wearing nothing even slightly resembling a coat. Mike, the big Irish doorman, stepped over to her, took off his huge green wool brass-buttoned overcoat, put it around her shoulders, and walked her into the lobby. My date, a freshly minted Mount Holyoke graduate, touched my arm. "Have you ever seen anything so incongruous in your life?" she asked. I agreed, but I had to look the word up at home before I could sleep. Incongruous. Not in harmony, it said. Strange, odd, absurd, bizarre. My passion for birds began with Charlie, a green Amazon parrot who dropped out of a tree to my shoulder on a street near my home. I later learned that weeks ago, there had been a major fire in the San Fernando Valley, and the owners had been forced to free their stock of exotic birds. Charlie was a survivor, and he stayed on a pedestal in our den for almost a year, and then one day, bored with civility, flew away. Miss Kramer, a pet store girl, first sat on a porch in my kitchen, uncaged for months, until Jack the dog came along, and that gave me pause. So I bought her a cage, but she hated it and flew back to her perch. One day, she dropped onto Jack's back, and he didn't object. They bonded, a cockatiel and an old English sheepdog. Incongruous? Indeed. This morning, I panned the stunned, pale faces of the great displaced Ukrainians at the railroad stations, waiting for the train doors to open. With piles of luggage at their feet, they stood in the freezing cold, holding their children and cats and dogs, but not a bird in a cage in sight. There must be birds, I thought. There must be people among these who owned even a small parakeet. Where were the birds? Maybe these humans simply freed them. Better to die in a burned-out tree, they thought, than in a cage. The cage bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still. And his tune is heard on the distant hill. For the caged bird sings of freedom. Maya Angelou.
Thanks for listening to On the Edge with JP Devine. On the Edge with JP Devine audio is made possible by our subscribers like you. Thank you for supporting local journalism in Central Maine.